Top 10 Most Disturbing Creepypastas. 10. Username 666. Username 666 refers to a gruesome pasta video by a Japanese visual artist Piropito, also known as his YouTube username Nana825763. The video shows what supposedly happens when one searches for the username 666 on YouTube and then refreshes the page a couple of times. Blood Moon Massacre. This creepypasta tells the story of the Paw Patrol horror story, Blood Moon Massacre. The story goes that Ryder and the Paw Patrol tried to save everyone in Adventure Bay from the phantom pirate, Bloodbeard. Sadly, all of the pups failed their mission, and Bloodbeard murdered them. Rubble was killed by Sky's helicopter, Sky was eaten by crows, Zuma was eaten by a great white shark, and Marshall, Chase, and Rocky were killed by Bloodbeard himself. Every time Bloodbeard was about to strike, he would always say, "Those who gaze at the moon as I pass, shall soon find that night to be their last." 8. Siren Head. Before we continue with this next story, I would just like to point out that Siren Head is not a creepypasta, nor an SCP, but rather a fictional monster created by Trevor Henderson. It is a tall, emaciated being with a pair of symbolic sirens where a head would normally go, which are capable of emitting various noises, both natural and man-made, including sirens, radio broadcasts, white noise, and human voices. An ambush predator, it always hides in plain sight and sometimes mimics the voices of its past victims to lure any potential prey closer. The creature is one of many monsters in Trevor Henderson's found footage style art, including the cartoon cat, bridge worm, long horse, cartoon dog, and more, and has been the subject of multiple video games, the most popular being a short horror game independently developed by Modus Interactive with the permission of Henderson. The game was originally created in 2018 for a PlayStation-themed game jam, and gained an increase in popularity in 2020 after being showcased by various big gaming YouTubers and streamers, including PewDiePie, Markiplier, and Jacksepticeye. Siren Head was also included in a popular Fallout 4 mod, called Whispering Hills. Another game, titled Siren Head, was developed by Undreamed Panic and praised for its visuals and sound design. If you are curious to hear what sounds Siren Head is capable of imitating, here's what they sound like. 7. Ghost Ambulance of Monterey, Mexico. This next creepypasta is a series of videos that come from Monterey, Mexico. According to the story, a man was murdered on the street of Ave del Paraíso, San Nicolas de los Garza, Nuevo León. He was taken to the scene aboard a car, and his perpetrators shot him at point-blank range. He passed away just as the ambulance arrived to pick him up. The roadside cross now marks the site of the tragic event. But here's where things get strange. Drivers began to realize that every time they drive by this roadside cross while listening to radio station 690 AM, their car stereo reception was interrupted by the unexplainable sound of an ambulance siren.
No mames, güey. Güey, mira, güey. Güey, no mames, güey. Por allá está la cruz. Dale lento, más lento, más lento. A la madre. ¿Dónde está la cruz? Ahí está la cruz. Dale, dale.
No pueden ocultarse. Esto es una realidad absoluta. El mundo ahora está con
Ahí está la cruz.
Dimensión deportiva. Un enfoque diferente del deporte. Con Roberto Hernández Contreras, Víctor Manuel Hernández y Roberto Hernández Barocio.
¿Qué dice? Ay, que guarda el respeto.
Siempre y vamos, ándale Valerio, vamos. Y
¿Ese
no
es el mismo?
coincido, pero de verdad que son lugares espectaculares. No quiero pensar que, no quiero creer que realmente le tengo miedo a subirme a la vía ferrata.
Es para que no le tengas miedo ni tantito a la altura, ¿eh?
No, nos da vértigo, pero...
¡Sí es cierto! ¡Grábalos! ¡Sí es cierto! ¿Qué pedo, güey? ¿Qué vete, mamá? ¿Qué? A ver, la señal del celular está bien.
Las montañas pues fueron de las elegidas, sobre todo el día de hoy.
Sí, la verdad, mucha gente yendo a los...
Ay. Dios mío. Ay. Ya, dale. Vámonos. ¿Qué se escuchó? ¿Lo escuchaste?
Oye, ¿qué te
¿Ay?
hicieron por un gol más agudo?
Dios mío.
De los segmentos y articulaciones
A ver,
que no tienen problema. Porque ahora vamos a saludar, es casualidad, a otra jovencita de 11 años.
Y es interesante también por lo que decía hace rato, ¿no, Víctor? Digo, los dos se supone que Gargano y Molina son de características. El que sabe, ¿no? Carlos Sánchez, perdona, y a darle directo a la portería como normalmente es el Monterrey. Yo creo.
6. The Russian Sleep Experiment, a staple of best creepypasta lists everywhere. The title of the story itself carries with it a sense of dread and horror. Shortly after World War II, 5 political prisoners are subjected to an experiment in which they have to remain awake for 30 days in a tank filled with an experimental gas. As with most science gone wrong stories, the test subjects begin to lose their minds among a number of other gruesome symptoms. The horror does not end when the experimenters try to save their subjects, far from it. Just know that this story may not be appropriate if you are squeamish or dislike gore, as the narrative goes into graphic detail about the physical state of the patients. Thankfully there are no pictures, or this would be the ultimate nightmare fuel. 5. Aguirre Hospital. A man is happy to go on a winter break, While doing so, he decided to go and explore an abandoned hospital. While exploring, he hears a lot of strange sounds in the building. After hearing a shuffle noise coming from his right, he saw a shadow figure run down the hallway. He ran after it. The hallway had a left turn at the end, and then a right, leading into a bigger hallway with more doors. Nothing was found in the hallway. He began to hear voices within the hospital. After encountering the ghosts of the dead babies covered in blood, he ran out of the hospital. 4. The Expressionless. The Expressionless is a story that was added to the Creepypasta Tumblr in June 2012. The story is set in June of 1972, where a woman appeared in Cedar Sinai Hospital wearing only a gown drenched in blood. The woman had a mannequin-like face and a kitten clamped in her jaw. She pulled the animal out and threw it aside, and then collapsed. The doctors decided that sedating her would be the best option. After attempting to sedate her, the woman rose from the bed. The staff attempted to restrain her, but it didn't stop her from brutally massacring and cannibalizing the entirety of the present personnel using her sharp teeth. One female doctor survived and nicknamed her the Expressionless. 3. Smile Dog. If there's any story on this list that best captures the message "be careful what you wish for," Smile Dog is it. The creepypasta deals with an image posted on an old bulletin board system back in 1992 called smile.jpg. Those who saw the image either disappeared or died, save for one Mary E., who the narrator goes to interview. What he eventually learns is that some things, even simple pictures, are better left as mysteries than dealing with the horrifying truth. In case you were wondering, the story does come with an accompanying image, but you may not want to see it after reading the full story. Though, in the end, you may not have a choice. 2. Jeff the Killer. If you've never laid eyes on the infamous image of Jeff the Killer before, consider yourself lucky. The basic story concerns Jeff, a serial killer who hides in the closet and whispers "go to sleep" to its victim before slaughtering everyone in the household. Even more disturbing than his MO is his appearance. His face is smooth and stark white, a huge grin and small lidless eyes. He is one of the most easily recognizable creepypastas, with his eerie stare posted across forums. His origin story involves a fight that resulted in a chemical burn on his face and caused him to suffer a mental break. Soon after, he murdered his family and disappeared into the night to make guest appearances in your nightmares. 1. The Haunted Kaishin Hospital. A Japanese TV crew goes to a haunted hospital to explore, saying that it is a popular place for teenagers to hang out and ghost hunt, and also a hot place for catching spirits in photos. The reporter interviews a man who claims that he and some friends went into the hospital to test their courage and take photos, but they soon encountered bizarre circumstances and one of them was injured. The noticeably scared reporter agrees to explore and begins poking around the hospital. She begins taking photos as she wanders the dark halls. She soon, however, finds the camera that the kids dropped during their own visit. As she looks through the images, she begins to see strange things appear in the frame. Suddenly, she lets out a blood-curdling scream. The video then explains that they were able to later slow down the footage, and spotted a figure standing in a doorway, reflected in a mirror. After the reporter's screams, the cameraman goes off on his own, only to encounter a ghostly surgeon holding what appears to look like a baby covered in blood and screams. The footage repeats but slowed down.